So, you already had the divorce papers ready? How about that? I scared you, didn't I? I'm ready for this anytime, so you better cool down and think about what you just said. With that, my husband, Mark, stood up and went into his room. My name is Sarah, and I'm 28 years old. I work in an office. I married Mark a year ago. We met through a blind date, and he made the first move, so we started dating. After dating for about a year and a half, we got married. It felt a bit too soon to me, but I always thought I'd want to be married and have kids before turning 30, so I said yes when he proposed. But after the wedding, I realized I should have thought things through more carefully. The first big surprise came when Mark changed jobs right after we got married. I'm changing jobs, he suddenly said. Why? I asked. Because I don't feel like I'm giving my best there, he replied. I was confused, but he said he already handed in his resignation and planned to leave by the end of the month. He did get a new job, but it paid less than his old one. I wasn't too worried at first because I was still working, but then Mark started asking me to quit my job. If his salary had been enough to cover both of us, I wouldn't have minded quitting, but his new job paid less, and he said his salary would go up soon, though I had no idea when that would happen. If I quit now, we'd struggle to make ends meet, and we wouldn't be able to save any money, so, I told him, I'm not quitting until your salary goes up. Mark agreed, but kept asking me to quit. I always gave him the same answer. Now that it's been a year of marriage, his salary still hasn't gone up, and he keeps asking, when will you quit? I want to say, now, just to mess with him, but I can't quit yet. If he really wants me to stay home, he needs to make more money. He should focus on his own job instead of asking me to quit all the time. I wondered why Mark was so insistent on me quitting, and I think I figured it out. It seems he wants me to take care of his mom, Linda. I just want to make things easier for you, Mom, Mark says to her whenever we visit his parents, and she always says, thank you, Mark, that's so sweet. Then he adds, but we both work, and looks at me, so, he's basically pushing me to quit my job. He says his mom needs help, but she's perfectly healthy and has a part-time job. She enjoys life, meets her friends, and takes care of herself. She definitely doesn't need me to take care of her. If I were Linda, I'd feel bad needing help when I'm healthy. Still, Mark keeps saying things like, if one of us stayed home, we could check on Mom every day. He wants me to visit her every day, which is exhausting to hear, so I asked him, Linda is healthy, what do you want me to do? He said, there's plenty you can do. You could help with her housework or run errands. But if Linda's out at work or with her friends, what would I even do at her house? Mark's answer didn't make sense to me. He just wants to look good in front of his parents. If he wants to help his mom so badly, he should do it himself. I wasn't going to give up my job for his pride, and I didn't visit his parents on my days off. I only went to their house during holidays like New Year's. Mark often gave me orders when we visited his parents' house. He'd tell me to clean up, help his mom, check if they needed anything from the store, and so on, but I never did any of it. When I said, you know more about the area than I do, why don't you go to the store? He'd reply, it wouldn't be any use if I did it. I couldn't understand his reasoning. It seemed like he just wanted to make me do everything and look good in front of his parents, as if he was being a great husband who was taking care of everything. That's when I started to see what Mark was really like. I began to wonder if he just wanted to look good instead of actually caring about me. So, one day I asked him, why don't you try helping or quit your job to take care of your own mom? He looked really uncomfortable, almost disgusted, and said, that's not my job. I'm telling you to do these things so my mom thinks you're a considerate wife. You should realize how kind I'm being to you. Basically, he wanted to push all the responsibility onto me, and then show off like he was doing something amazing. But I'm not his servant, and I don't deserve to be treated like that, especially not in front of his parents. If Mark keeps making these unreasonable demands, I won't just stay quiet, I'll stand up to him. But nothing changed. He kept asking, when are you going to quit your job? And still gave me orders when we visited his parents. I had finally reached my limit, so I decided to talk to him about it. What do you mean, talk? He asked. I think we need to discuss our future. What are you trying to say? I'm honestly fed up. I'm fed up with you constantly asking me when I'll quit my job and trying to get me to take care of your mom. Why are you upset about that? You're my husband, and you're supposed to take care of your own parents. Don't you think it's a huge burden on me? Aren't you responsible for taking care of your own parents? No way, it's the wife's job to do that. Aren't you the one who's supposed to take care of your own parents? I'm disappointed you'd say something like that. Then let me ask you this, how have you been helping take care of my parents? Would you do that if I asked you to? Mark stared at me blankly. What do you mean? A husband shouldn't take care of his wife's parents. Are you saying you won't help with mine? Husbands and wives' families are completely different. What's the difference? I don't understand. You sound clueless, like I'm talking to my old boss. What are you saying? I mean, the husband's parents come first. The wife should take care of her own parents. What? So, for Mark, the only family he cared about was his own blood-related family. I'm so disgusted by you. I'm not going to your parents' house anymore. Ha, why would you do that? Enough is enough. I'm tired of this. No way. How dare you talk back to me? My mom's right about you. Ha, your mom was talking badly about you. She said you're a bad wife. That's why she gave me this. With that, my husband, Mark, pulled out a piece of paper from his bag. It was divorce papers. What? You already had divorce papers ready? I was shocked, but Mark seemed oddly proud of himself. How about that? Did I scare you? I'm ready for this anytime, so you better calm down and think about what you just said. Mark got up and went into his room. No way. Why is Mark so selfish? And why does he look so smug? I'm sure the divorce papers are just a threat to get me to do what he wants. The fact that his mom had prepared them made me think even more that Mark is a mama's boy who wants to do everything his mom says and boss me around. You've got to be kidding me. I won't let Mark control me. Why can't he see that our marriage is over when he does things like this? His lack of common sense is making me even more frustrated. Mark had already filled out the divorce papers and handed them to me. The witness section had his mom's name and the names of his friends, so I could sign and file the divorce papers whenever I wanted. The next day, after Mark left for work, I filled out the divorce papers and submitted them to the city office. Just in case, I also filed a notice saying I didn't accept the marriage certificate. I called my parents to explain the situation, knowing Mark would probably try to file the marriage certificate himself if he found out I filed the divorce papers. My parents were surprised, but they were furious about Mark's behavior. They offered to help me move my things whenever I was ready. I took a paid day off and had my parents come over to pack up my things while Mark was at work. Afterward, I decided to stay at my parents' house for a while. For the first time in a long time, I felt at peace there. Looking back, Mark never did any housework. I was the one cooking dinner after a busy day and doing all the cleaning and laundry on my days off. On top of that, he wanted me to take care of his parents, which was impossible. That night, I got a phone call from Mark, probably just back from work. Hello? Hey, where are you right now? I'm at my parents' house. Ha, why the hell would you go back there without my permission? There's none of your stuff here. Don't tell me you're staying over there. I almost laughed. How could he think I was staying there when I had taken most of my things? He really must be selfish to think that way. I moved out. I'm not going back to your house. Ha, what the hell are you talking about? Come back here and make me some food. Make it yourself, I said, and hung up. I figured I couldn't even talk to him about the divorce if he was going to be like this, so I decided to wait for him to come to me. I blocked his number from my phone. A week later, Mark finally got impatient and showed up at my parents' house, but he didn't come alone. He brought his parents with him. All three of them looked serious. I led them into the living room, and we all sat down, 3 against 3. How could you do this? I can't believe you'd leave without my permission. Well, that's because you were treating me like your housekeeper, right? All I asked was for you to take care of my family. Mark's parents looked angry, and his mom, Linda, glared at me. Don't say things like that. You always twist it to suit your own convenience. You just want me to do the things you don't want to, don't you? I've told you over and over that's not what I mean. What kind of wife are you when Mark is doing everything for you? Hearing Linda talk badly about me made my dad start to shake. He was about to lose his temper, so before he could say anything, I repeated what Mark had said to me. Mark told me to quit my job and help Linda. He said it was my duty as his wife to do so, but when it comes to my family, he pushed me to take care of them on my own. In the end, Mark just wants me to obey him and use me to take care of his parents while he takes the credit for it. That's why he keeps saying that his parents should come first and that they're a priority over my own parents. But has Mark ever said anything like that in front of you? Linda was still glaring at me, but my father-in-law, Carter, looked confused. It seemed like Carter hadn't heard this before. Let's spill the tea, I said. And what I couldn't believe was that Mark had suddenly brought up the divorce papers and told me that it was Linda's idea. What, did you suggest this to Mark? Carter asked Linda. Oh no, it's because Sarah has an attitude, you know? Love, did you really say that Sarah's parents aren't a priority? Carter asked again. Oh, well, it's only natural for your own parents to come first, Linda responded. Don't be ridiculous. I came here to support you because I heard you were going through hardships, but as far as I'm concerned, you're the one at fault. Don't try to use your parents to manipulate the situation. Mark shrank down in his seat. Carter had really nailed it. He said everything I wanted to say, and he even apologized to us. Sarah, I'm truly sorry for the trouble my son has caused. I will lecture him thoroughly. Thank you, Carter, but you're not at fault here. Your words mean a lot. But there's still one more thing I need to say. At that moment, Mark asked. What do you mean? About those divorce papers you gave me. I've already filed them. We're not married anymore. What? No, no. Mark and Linda both turned pale. Why did you do that without asking me first? You told me I could file them whenever I wanted, and besides, you filled out your part and had Linda sign as a witness. That was? Did you really file them? Yes, I did. You used those papers as a threat, I said, glaring at Mark. How could you do this? You're so stupid, Carter shouted, slapping Mark across the face. Linda was visibly shaken by the turn of events. I sincerely apologize that you had to see this. You were right to divorce this idiot. I'm truly sorry for everything he's done, Carter said, grabbing Mark by the neck. Now, both of you apologize to Sarah and her parents. Mark and Linda apologized, and then Carter dragged them out of the house. I couldn't thank Carter enough. He made sure that all of Mark's assets went to me, in exchange for no alimony. Since Mark couldn't go against his father, I got all of our savings and assets. I had been the one managing the household, and my income was higher, so I had every right to them, but still, I'm grateful to Carter for making sure it all came to me. I heard that Carter was so disgusted by Linda that he divorced her shortly after. Then, I ran into a colleague from Mark's old workplace, who told me that Mark wasn't good at his job and had been scolded by his boss all the time. Apparently, Mark had quit his job in defiance of his boss, but now he wasn't making any money in his new job. I never knew any of this, and it just made me even more frustrated with Mark. Mark had blamed everyone around him for his own failures. That's why he was struggling at his new job. I was glad I left him. I rented a single apartment and started living independently. Work was going great, and I recently got a raise. I didn't want to be in another relationship for a while, so I was focusing on my career. Looking back, I knew Mark couldn't do his job. He was more concerned about appearances than improving himself. Instead of putting energy into his pride, he should have focused on improving his skills for his career. Sadly, there are too many husbands who think they can use divorce papers as a threat. They think they hold power, but that's a huge mistake. I hope these people get divorced quickly and live their lonely lives. I'm just happy that I was able to break free from that relationship. I hope I can meet someone wonderful in the future.